is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
An NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
All righty. How you doing, Ira? Good morning to you, sir.
I'm doing good. Just getting ready for a big Knicks playoff series in the conference finals for the first time in 25 years. That for all you and I have spoken about on our accurate Pembroke Pines report and the Heat struggles and everything that's going on, the one thing I noted in my Ask Ira today is over the past 25 years, this will be the Knicks' first appearance. The Heat have made 9 in the conference finals. So please have some perspective. Big O, I don't know if you saw when the Knicks beat the Celtics, the celebrations in New York, and they were climbing, electrical poles, and they were taunting fans of other teams. They made the conference finals. Now, I might be wrong, but
acting like Eagles idiots. Yes.
Exactly. Like, I might be wrong, but I don't remember many teams celebrating, okay, we're in the Final Four of the NBA. It's not like the NCAA. It's not like you're advancing in March Madness. So I do think at these dark days for the Heat, a little bit of perspective at least is required when you see how hard it's been for other teams to get to this level.
Oh, New Yorkers are minor leaguers when it comes to basketball. They don't know what good basketball is. Pobrecitos, as we say here in South Florida. Poor boys and girls out there. Let them have their fun. It's like Princeton winning in the tournament or something and advancing, with Pete Carrill. It's just one of those little novelties. Let little Knick fans who know nothing about basketball, let them enjoy at least a little moment. So they can over-celebrate because they've never been there. That's what happens, Ira, when you've never been there. It's what it is.
This generation. There's another generation of Willis Reed and Walt Frazier and Clyde. Earl Monroe. We're talking 50 years almost right now. Yeah.
We want to go back to Dolphin fans now? Is that what we're doing now? Yeah.
And they do. And that's the thing. And that's why it's nice to have recent history. That's why it's nice with the Heat. That's why it's certainly nice with the Panthers. That's why, hey, during these dark days of Inter-Miami, it's nice to reflect back on the League's Cup. I mean, sometimes you got to have a little history.
It's interesting what's going on in Inter-Miami because you dealt with it. It's funny how Jimmy Butler did the things that LeBron James could never do, yet LeBron James was producing and getting to finals and winning them, and yet he didn't have the leeway and all the crap that he could do and his agent hanging around the locker room and playing cards with him or whatever. None of that ever went on with LeBron, and the Heat paid a price for allowing a player to step all over you. Well, Inter-Miami is paying a price now because Messi's got his friends, has his coach, has his own GM. He's making all the calls, and look what's going on to the team now.
And especially the coaching thing. And when you play coaching roulette, this is what happens. So you and I, look, the one thing that Big O has been consistent on our accurate Pembroke Pines report is none of this falls in Eric Spoelstra. It falls all around him. He's been the constant. He's the reason for hope going forward. When you constantly change, look, there are times you have to change your coach because you need to. We obviously have seen Paul Maurice come in and be the perfect guy for the job after they've had some somewhat successful coaches. Gerard Gallant got left in a taxi cab in Carolina. I don't think that happened.
It's Bill Zito that knows exactly what the team is
and finding the right thing. Yeah,
he fixes everything, dude.
And that's the thing. And that's it. At least the Heat have that. And you can see with the coaching change in Inter-Miami and constantly playing this roulette game, you wind up in this never-ending sort of treadmill of mediocrity. So that's why you have to start somewhere. You have to make a stand with something. You make your stand with Jimmy Butler if you wanted. You saw where that went. Not too good. Could have moved on earlier. So you have to sort of pick. Now, Messi's a different thing because he's the iconic of all time. This is sort of like Pele in the NASL back in the day with the Cosmos. You make your concessions because you know what? If Inter-Miami doesn't win another game the rest of the year, there'll still be this rock tour. But I think it's going to be really interesting on the World Cup now for teams when they're in that draw. they are going to be so overmatched against those teams that are coming.
Pallet won a bunch of NASL titles. That's the difference,
and that is the difference also. But I digress.
You cannot get eliminated by Atlanta in the first round. You cannot get eliminated by the worst team in the Eastern Conference in the first round last year. And now look what's going on. Oh, and by the way, it's working so well. They just signed Alba through 2027. Oh, let's just bring the old guys back. Let's just keep doing this. You know what I mean? It's just
crazy.
I don't know if you watch it, but like now they're getting physical messages that take the ball away from them now and all that kind of stuff because this league is more physical than international leagues actually because it's more American. American sports are physical sports.
And when the skill level is not as high, just like European basketball is more physical than the NBA, because when the skill level is not as high, you have to compensate in another way. So that's what you see also on the flip side in basketball. Sure.
By the way, I watch the WNBA. So yes, whatever, call me whatever name you want. I'm good with it. It's the purest game, dude. And when you watch it, I just wish the men's game would actually go back to it. There's an inside-outside game. You know what I mean? It's not living all.
Well, you're playing below the rim, so it's not purely I'm going to use athleticism and put the whole ball movement aside and just get it on my own. So it's a different game. And it's the game most of us can relate to because most of us aren't getting above the rim. Exactly.
No, but I love they're actually real centers. There's people that play with their backs to the basket there still. They play the inside-outside game. It's not just all threes. They have the threes. They have the shooters. The league is loaded with ladies that can shoot the three. That's not the point. The big woman, like the big man, is valuable in that league. You know what I'm saying? It's actually fundamentally, when you watch it, it's fun. It's the aesthetics of it. It's just fun to watch, dude, in that sense. You know what I mean? I just wish we had a little bit more of that in the men's game. That's all. I that's something to appreciate of the ladies' game.
I will say this. You will see some fun teams in the Final Four of the NBA because these teams get up and down the court. They have a good offensive rhythm. Indiana's that team. Minnesota can be that team. They moved away from the two bigs when they moved Towns, obviously, to New York. So that's interesting. OKC, of course, is relentless on both ends. I think you're going to see a nice brand of wide open basketball in the Final Four in the NBA. I will say that.
All right. Well, what do you got in the Western Conference?
I mean, right now, look, Denver created some doubts with OKC, but they're so deep and they have so much more, and they come at you with defensive waves. OKC has never been down this season. There hasn't been a point where you really created doubts from their great record in the Western Conference to what they did in the playoffs. There were times Minnesota was not very good. They've been very up and down. We've seen that in the loss to Golden State. We've saw that a little bit in the first round also. I love Ant-Man and what he does. I still think you can play Rudy Gobert off the floor in some degree of playoff basketball, so I'm curious about that. But to me, it comes down to one thing more than any others. I know he's gotten it done, and I know perhaps there should be more faith being built there, but I've just never been a guy who can trust Julius Randle at moments of truth. And look, he's proven us wrong in these first two rounds, and he was great against the Warriors. But if you're asking me, Big O, and you're giving me a stake and you're saying bet a Bitcoin on one of these two teams, I am not going with Julius Randle. I can't cast my bet in that direction. So I would say Oklahoma City, just because at some point I still think Julius Randle is going to turn back into Julius Randle.
No, he has moments where he just is kind of out of control. And I get it. I totally understand that there are moments where he can help you, and then there are moments where he can actually bury you. Yeah, so I'm with you. Efficiency can go out the window with him at any moment, and you're like, holy shit, dude, you're turning over the ball. You're taking bad shots, and so yeah, I'm with you there. How about on the East?
I mean, look, the Pacers shouldn't be here, but they are. And if Halliburton is playing at the top of his game, it's going to be real interesting for this reason. I think Indiana can wear down New York because we know Thibodeau is going to go with such a tight rotation that everyone's going to play a crap ton of minutes. And again, it's interesting. I'm going to go the other way. I spoke about Julius Randle, the player went in the other direction. Is Karl Anthony Towns up to this moment? He's had some very nice moments in the playoffs. He had a huge game this regular season against the Heat. But again, This is when you weigh players and you decide if they're up to the moment. Like just like you weigh Bam Adebayo in certain playoff situations, I get to judge Julius Randle. I get to judge Karl Anthony Towns. I get to see who is up to the moment. So I need to see a little more from Cat to create that. Now, you have Jalen Brunson, who obviously can create and do anything he wants. You have defenders and Bridges who can hit a shot, in OG Anunoby who can defend anyone. So the Knicks are going to grind you. I think the Pacers can wear down the Knicks because of the way Thibodeau plays his rotation. But the Knicks' best players, I will say this, are better than the Pacers' best players. So does it come down to a 7th, 8th, 9th man? Will we see that? Will be TJ McConnell drive them crazy off the bench? That's what I need to see. And will we see, and this just blows my mind, Thomas Bryant in the NBA Finals?
Yeah. Hey, man. So, you know, what are you going to do? Now, let me ask you the topic that, you know, the rookie basketball fans in New York, since they don't know good basketball, but now they get to do a little comparison. They're doing the Brunson Melo comparison. Who are you going with?
You know what? I'm going to go with the first player who wins. And God bless Carmelo Anthony. But I remember when they won one playoff game against the Heat and they had the streamers and confetti come down, not even winning a series for winning a game. Winning matters in this league. So if Jalen Brunson can lead his team to a championship, I know it's the old, some guys have won championships, Barkley, Stockton, Malone haven't. It comes down to that.
The fucking guy did it in Dallas, bro.
Right. Yeah. But you have to get it done at the highest. At the highest level.
But you proved he had balls in Dallas, dude.
Right. I mean, but I need to see a championship. It's just like, you know, this coming weekend, we're going to have the Indianapolis 500. And all the drivers are talking this weekend how you can win the series championship. You can win different races. You have to win the big one. That's going to be with you your entire career. So if you're asking me right now, Melo's had the Hall of Fame career. Go with him now. If Jalen Brunson wins a championship this year, next year, going forward, that will change my idea on the equation because it's always about the ultimate star. Jimmy Butler, great Heat player. Going to have his number retired. I understand all that. But not in the pantheon of Dwayne or LeBron or even Chris Bosh, who won championships. It still matters. That trophy matters a lot. That's where I think the ultimate judgment winds up being made.
I go Brunson over Melo for me because for me, Brunson is even closer to being more of a complete player. He makes people around him better. I actually think Brunson has already proven to me that he's a better basketball player than Melo. Is Melo the better shooter? Yeah, dude. That's not even up for debate. The guy had a beautiful shot. It's just something you can't teach. Totally. Either gifted with it or you don't, and he is gifted with it. But Brunson's toughness, where he can shoot from the outside and he posts you up as a little guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Hardaway, a lot of Tim Hardaway in him. But the defense on both is lacking. They're not two-way players. That matters. Dwayne with
Brunson has an excuse. Brunson has an excuse for not being a great two-way player because he's a small guy. Melo
that matters.
Have an excuse.
That matters. Yeah, but that matters. Look, both quality great players. Let me see who wins the championship. But what Brunson has done, and again, it's interesting when we talk about the Heat and what you need to do. What you need to do is find a steal in free agency. Look what the Knicks did with Dallas. They paid Jalen Brunson less than the Heat paid Tyler Hero on this current contract. Dallas wouldn't give him the extension. They gambled. I know his dad's an assistant coach in New York. They had an edge there. But that's what you have to do is you have to go out. Look, everyone talks about get the Durants, get the Giannis's, get the guys, the big names that come on the market. Sometimes it's the guy a step below who elevates with your team that can make all the difference. To a degree, Jimmy Butler did that with the Heat. He never had that great playoff run until he got to the Heat, and he elevated. That's what you have to find also. There are players like that out there that can make all the difference as well. Look at Indiana. They had an all-star level center in Domantas Sabonis, but they saw something in Tyrese Halliburton, who certainly was not at the level of the Giannis's and the Jokic's, and they saw that this guy could be our guy. That's what you have to find. You have to find maybe the A- superstar and say, in our system, he could be the A+ superstar. Indiana has done that. I'll give you another example. The Oklahoma City Thunder had a player by the name of Paul George, really good player when he was there. But they said, you know what? A whole bunch of draft picks and this Gilgeous Alexander guy, that might work for us. When you look, Big O, at these Final Four teams, almost each of them has had a player who was not the ultimate player before he got there and became the ultimate player. That's what you have to define. It's not always as easy as getting a top pick, getting an Ant-Man, getting an Anthony Edwards, and working from there, which is the tried and true method, whether it's Wembanyama, whether we're going to see right now, whether it's Cooper Flagg, but it's also getting someone at a value and making the most of it. That's what the Heat need to get back to.
Okay, so what you're telling me is your gut is telling you now that maybe the Heat might be going in the direction of trying to get lucky to get that third piece to go along with they like
to get lucky.
The first two pieces, or not what I want to do, blow the shit up and sell those two, because if you don't, your season's going to end up like a Mexican naval ship.
Okay, I don't know if they're going to hoist the flags to go under the Brooklyn Bridge, but all I'll say is this. The world has also changed since the end of the Heat's regular season. It has, Big O. Jason Tatum's going to miss probably a season. I have no idea what's going to happen with the Bucks, but whether Giannis stays or not, Lillard is out for the season. All of a sudden, there are doubts in Cleveland to the point where they tell themselves, can we afford to pay all these guys, or are we going to have to, with the second apron, move back down a little? The playing field is open. I will say that give me 1 second here. If the Heat were in the Western Conference.
Hold on a second. Strus is the ultimate motivator. Why would they break this up? Come on, dude. Keep it all together.
Exactly, because it takes more than that. What I would say is this. If the Miami Heat were in the Western Conference with this record, with this roster, with this situation, I'd say, Big O, who the hell are we kidding? There are so many quality teams ahead of us. And now you've got Dallas getting Cooper Flagg. Pull back, because there is no immediate future. But it really is remarkable how all the great first-round picks, Wembanyama, Cooper Flagg, go west, where if there is a Giannis relocation, it probably will be west. LeBron went west. The players went west. The Heat are very, very fortunate to be in the Eastern Conference. You're going to argue that can tease you too much into believing something that's not as likely. What I'm telling you is this. Oklahoma City Thunder dominated the regular season, showed they have the mettle to get it done in the postseason. Big O, next season, I'm going to ask you this question. Who is the dominant lead dog in the Eastern Conference next season? Do you have one?
Do I have one in the
Eastern? Fact that you're pausing tells me all I need to know.
Yeah. No, but I get that there isn't a dominant, but I know it's better than Miami. Boston's better than Miami, even without Tatum. With Jaylen Brown leading them, I still think they're better than Miami. The Knicks are better than Miami. The Pacers are better than Miami. Sure. Orlando has more potential to be better than Miami.
Detroit with Cade Cunningham.
Detroit is on the way up also, along with Orlando, so that'll be a pain in the ass. The other teams I'm looking at right now, Atlanta, Chicago, whatever, Toronto,
right, the Flotsam and Jetsam. But the point I'm just trying to make to the people out there on the Accurate Pembroke Pines report is this. There's no great roadblock. You know this from the Heat years in Riley. Michael Jordan was in the way. You know, there were years where every other team in the league, whether he's with Cleveland, whether he's with the Heat, whether he's with the Lakers, LeBron.
But that's both conferences right now. There are no great teams right now. There are no Lakers. There
are more in the West, and there are more comers in the West. In other words, in the West, not only do you have a young Oklahoma City team, you have, for whatever you want to say, Cooper Flagg and the possibility in Dallas, Victor Wembanyama and the possibility in San Antonio. You have teams on the come. You have teams on the rise. In the East, you have teams probably leveling off. I think the East is going to level off. What I'm saying is, I wrote about it in my Sunday column in the Sun Sentinel.
Is that Shaq and Kobe? Is that the Spurs with their big three? Is that the big three for the
more than the East has to offer? That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you, but again, no team in the NBA is the Lakers or the Celtics of the past, with all the great teams that we've had in the history of the NBA in the last 30 years, 40 years, none of these teams can ever
agree. And I will say this. If we were to line up the NBA, no conferences, 1 through 30, I bet you of the top 10 teams we would list, maybe as many as 7 and 8 for the best championship trajectory would be in the West. So what I'm saying is, and I wrote about it Sunday, and I don't have a definitive answer, is Do the Heat allow themselves to be deluded into believing one more piece, one more tweak, and next year could be ours? Or do the Heat still have to, like Orlando Alzugaray said, pull back, maybe from Bam, maybe from Tyler, maybe from everyone, draft pick, and build for 3, 4, 5 years down the road? But what I'm saying is the pathway in the East, since the Heat were eliminated on April 28th, has changed dramatically, because I don't know about the Celtics. I don't know about the Bucks. I don't know about the Cavaliers. The Knicks are a good, but like you said, not a great team. The Pacers are a good, but not a great team. In other words, if the Heat were to face the Indiana Pacers right now, I can tell you they wouldn't get blown out like they were against the Cavaliers. They would get a game or two. There's not that much of a differential. It makes the East interesting.
It's not even Reggie Miller's Pacers, bro.
Correct. It's not Mark Jackson's Pacers. It's not Chris Mullen's Pacers. It's not Rick Smith's Pacers.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a different world. So I'm saying if you're the Heat, I could see where you think you'd have a puncher's chance. And again, like I tell everyone, when we look back every week at our Accurate Pembroke Pines report here, and we look back at the Heat of 37-45, if that 10-game losing streak was just 5-5 instead, we'd be talking about a 42-40 season. Nothing to celebrate, but you wouldn't feel as far away also. So I think this season had a lot of sort of intricate parts that you can't just say burn it to the ground, that you might be able to say if we can fix A, B, and C, we could be a little closer, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Just out of curiosity, you watch any Fever Sky on Saturday?
I caught a little. I like Caitlin Clark's gumption. I love the fact that there's a rivalry in the WNBA. I love the fact that women can be women and don't have to apologize and can be like the men and can get flagrant fouls, and we can go to the monitor and we can review if it's a flagrant too. Good for them. Good for them for literally taking the gloves off and playing that kind of game also. And I know, and it's not a racial thing, don't get this wrong, but I know after all the crap that Caitlin Clark took last year, I love the fact I ain't going to take it anymore. And I love Angel Reese's toughness. And there is a place for that in women's sports and women's basketball, because be yourself. Yeah, they're creating something special. And I think every time the Sky and Chicago play now and play those games, and even when you see Vegas now, what Asia Wilson did against the Liberty over the weekend, yeah, there's some really interesting teams. To me, it's still a shame it gets buried on the sports schedule. And I know there's no comfort going head-to-head with the winter sports, but sometimes it becomes such an afterthought. I think it's also a shame being buried on Ion Sports Network and things like that. It's a quality product right now. The NBA has done a lot. The WNBA has done a lot. Now pay them what they're worth so they don't have to risk going to Russia in the offseason to make a decent earning wage.
Yeah, yeah. Ionescu broke her. She didn't get her three-pointer in that game, so her streak was broken. But going back to Caitlin, I love the fact that she came back stronger now, and kind of like I'm not going to take any shit, because she took so much crap from everybody, last year, especially from it. But I'll tell you this, on the basketball side, just pure looking on the basketball side, the Sky is doing a disservice to their own offense. They've got Angel Reese letting her handle the basketball. She's not a ball handler. She's not even a really good post player. She's not really a good offensive player. You have her taking way too many shots. She's not efficient. She should be more in the garbage area, playing under the basket, let the shooters shoot, and then everybody misses. She's great underneath and put it all back. That's her game. When they've got her playing so much more offensively, and she's turning over the ball, and she's not efficient offensively.
Well, it's like Bam Adebayo would tell us. She's no Asia Wilson, but she's a damn good player anyway. Yeah,
Asia Wilson is a bad mofo, like a bad mofo.
Don't tell Bam that, but okay.
She is intimidating. I mean it all in the most lovable and what's it called? Endearing way, bro. She's awesome, dude. She's a beast, bro. She's intimidating out there. She does a great job. She is presence, which, Lisa Leslie had it. Certain women have that, certain athletes, whatever.
Absolutely.
They walk on there and they have that. Asia's that, dude. And that's why I've told you, I wish it would rub off on Bam, because Asia's a bad. All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel?
Well, first of all, I did write in my Ask Ira today just about the fact that, hey, New York, celebrate all you want about getting to the conference finals, but also have the perspective of that, hey, be thankful down here for the run the Heat have had. I'm shifting a little more to my draft coverage right now. I'm of the thought at number 20, the Heat were at the Combine last week, Pat Riley, Eric Amsler, Adam Simon, Keith Haskins, their scouting staff. I would trade out of 20. There's enough developmental pieces in the pipeline. I would try to get back in shape where I'm not blocked for 4 years with a pick that's owed Charlotte, and that the Heat have to move forward. A number 20 pick is not going to turn things around this year or for this Heat team. I think they have to be a little, sort of like you said, a little more forward thinking and get this ship totally back in order for maybe a season or two down the road. So there'll be a story about that coming out in the Sun Sentinel, and it'll be interesting. Davion Mitchell's story later in the week. We'll have more draft coverage moving within a month. So still, as you always tell me, always something going on.
Davion Mitchell is all Heat. That is exactly what you want. That is a guy you want on your roster in a big-time way.
We'll be featuring that later this week. So plenty to talk about next week when we're back.
I like him a lot. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Have a terrific week, Ira. We'll catch up next week.
Catch you next week in our accurate Pembroke Pines report. Thanks, Big O.
Thank you, sir. There you go. And don't forget, you can get electrified right now. They still have the 2024 models, the ZDX, going on right now at Acura Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard. You can get it for $329 a month or $439. The $329 is for Conquest or Loyalty customers, $439 for everyone else. 0% financing for 72 months. We've got the 17th anniversary sale going on right now. The lot is overflowing. All right. I don't know if the NSX is still there, but there's an NSX in there, which, that's a limited edition. They haven't made a new one in the last couple of years, but there's one in there. Nasty. That's worth the trip just to go check it out if it's still there. But you could go check out the entire line, the RDX, the ZDX. It just goes on and on. The ILX, great vehicles. And, of course, they've got a full line of certified pre-owned vehicles there, too. They look like they're brand new. Go check it out at 15601 Pines Boulevard. Go see Larry Schlossberg and tell him that Big O sent you. Tony Stampone, Pat Nasto, great people out there at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.